Place to be. Good dawning to you all. I'm going to try and walk a little bit further up this hill with my old broken body. Alright, so we've got some important stuff going on, and we need to touch base on a few things today. Why is that comment thing not working again? Drives me insane. Alright, actually I'm not sure what sort of service we have out here. Maybe this live won't go that well. We'll get up the hill. Good dawning, Tom. Alright, that's not a bad view, is it? Okay, so what do I need to talk about? So yesterday I went and attended the Two Des's and Melody's Anti-Corruption Academy. Powerful stuff, right? There's plenty of people that tell you that it's all up the shit and it's all corrupted and it's all this and that. There's lots of overlapping stories, and as usual I just try and be a conduit for people with information. Your discernment, your journey, your personal circumstances are where you make the decision on where you want to go with it. Obviously, there's hardcore methods, there's pushback methods, there's very creeping around in the dark sort of methods. Hey Migsy. Now I'm up on top of the hill, so I'm hoping that my little microphone will not make it too crackly. But what I want to say is they are so we've got this the FUCCP thing coming up this week, right? It's been massive response. It's getting bigger, quicker. It's definitely snowballing into something that will be wonderful. If it went tomorrow, I'd be happy. 88 cars listed, and plenty more verbally committed, but I haven't got them on the list yet. So many volunteers sorting all of the food. So many groups. The corruption whistleblower are coming. They're actually coming on the journey. The Terra Australia State National founder and a few of their group are coming on it. I talked to Wade from Billboard Battalion yesterday. I threw out the olive branch for all my shit stirring. We had some issues. He's going to get back to me today, but he's going to do everything he can to make sure that bus is on the southern leg. I mean, I threw the olive branch out to Hoodie. We got past it for the people, because again, there's some big personalities. I'm definitely a shade of balance between ego and confident. And at the end of the day, it's the people that we speak to. So it's the people that we have to think of when we're throwing rocks. And this is it's easy to see that they are going to escalate everything that's going on. So I can tell you in the last couple of weeks that a man who is known throughout the entire pushback movement, that is one of the best at fighting them in their court systems, and they grabbed him and they've locked him up for minor, continuously breaking minor rules about driving with licenses and stuff like that. And so that knocks out everybody who's playing in UCCs, PMA worlds, common law stuff, right? They are attacking him to get to us, right? They're setting a precedent. There's a couple of state nationals now that are doing the same thing. That they've been locked up. So overnight we found out that there was a local here that we would have heard speak today at the ETSA meeting has been illegally locked up and unlawfully detained. And so I'm going to put a conversation to be had, and the phone number for the correctional centre for people to ring them and do a welfare check, and the wording can be followed if possible, please. And that'll be multiple people that we do this for, because if we don't stand now when they test these people, right? If we don't stand together and show the system that they're not just one person sitting in a jail cell on their own, standing for the rights of every person, then we might as well give up. All right? because these are the people that have done the processes that take away the presumed power of the system. These are the people that have done all of the lawful documentation to let everybody know under their system that they stand on land and soil. Now, like I said, Drew wasn't fighting them under that method. He's happy to go into their system. He teaches people how to go into their system and give them a hiding. And he's done it multiple times, but this is different. They are targeting anybody that is pushing back now. And so you can do one of two things: give up, put your head back in the sand, hope that the red pill wears off, and say, I was happy to fight quietly when nobody knew about it. Or you can double down and say, we need to stand together right now, because I keep saying, if not now, when? And if not you, who? Because sooner or later they'll come for you. The farmers are finally starting to wake up to the fact that no matter how much land they think they own, particularly if they've got good productive farming land, that they're likely to have it taken off them, either through control, either through control systems or through power lines going through there, or through reclaiming of their land because they want to put a solar grid in there, or a cable through the middle of it, which will kill them anyway. The farmers are starting to get it right. The firefighters realised the other day even the wealthy are starting to see that this super tax of 3 million, is painful. So a lot of the private members associations, it is really untested in court, and they will come for us soon too as we build new pathways. But what I want to say is we can't proclaim innocence to a lot of this stuff. Now, the guys that they've got are top level. They know their shit, right? The guys that they've put in jail are top level, know their shit. So what does that do? It sounds a message out to the people that are just learning, right? Because that's what they want to do, right? Julian Assange and people like that. That's to send a big message to anybody beneath them, that if they can put a high profile person in place like that, the whistleblowers that we've seen here, the Barry Youngs from New Zealand, and the David's name here, the whistleblowers we've seen in this country, that they've ignored the whistleblower protection laws to make sure they publicly give them a smack up. We can see what's happening, right? They are publicly now saying, let's go. They are in panic mode. They are wobbling the wheels all over the place. We are attacking them on every front, defending on every front, and then attacking on every front. Their courts are full of people, but we have to do it properly and make sure that every step of the way we understand what we're doing. So I spoke up yesterday at the at Melody's and the Two Deserts meeting, and I said I've had 3 conversations today in passing with people who are learning information about the fraudulent nature of the system, or at least confirming it. They've probably already known, but they're getting the details, high-level details, from the Des and Des show that I saw yesterday. But you have to make sure that you are very careful, that you understand your words, that you do not make claims without being able to back them up. So one person said they've been throwing the mail in the bin because they're not going to talk to them, not going to deal with it. It's fraudulent. I say, great. You are setting yourself up. You are setting yourself up to fail if you haven't got yourself, because eventually they will drag you, even under coercive tactics. They will drag you to their prison or drag you to their jail, right? And so if you know that you've done the work that is supposed to do lawfully, the paperwork, the work, and actually understand how to do it, then you are a much better chance of protecting yourself. So it's called a pre-action protocol. And this is what I talk about when we say, like, the Know Your Rights group, and that teach you how to send the notice of objection, the notice of default, and the notice of, I think it's finalisation or closure or something like that. But it's basically saying, thank you, Christine, David McBride. They deliberately, and often some of these people that are high profiles, they might be part of the system, right? They might do a deal and live on a nice, comfortable island. I'm not implying that. But what I'm saying is, we see it, and whether you like it or not, it puts a little bit of doubt in the back of your mind, because there's 10% that are hardcore, will take these people on. There's 20% that have, that have like an inkling that they'll tell them to get stuffed, and in the moment they say, stuff you, you're treasonous, you're fraudulent, rah, 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 and they get themselves into trouble because they watch a YouTube video where someone says it, but they don't see the pain and the suffering and the stress of doing all of the paperwork and showing up to courts and having the police come around and escort you away under warrant when you haven't shown up as a straw man. So what I'm saying is this is an education period as well as an action period, right? These people that they've detained at the moment have done all the work. They've done the education, they've done the action. Now the government is definitely doubling down on its treason, its fraud, its war crimes, its all of that sort of stuff is happening right now. And they are putting it all on the line to try and break the back of the movement that is growing, and that's great, but it's also dangerous times. It's why we have to do everything we can to now. I'll put it in later into the comments of the number to ring. It has to be, welfare checks have to be documented, but there's a list of things here to say. It'll have a list of things to say, a list of things to ask, and a list of things to request. Make sure that it's documented, right? Because they are acting out like spoilt children who are getting their lollies taken off them, and that is what we are doing, right? They know we know, right? We need to make sure that we are not contracting with them. We understand that. So I said to the person that yesterday they were throwing in the bin, I said, you are setting yourself up to fail, because ignorance is not an excuse in the eyes of their legal system, right? Until you actually have the paperwork to stand in your ground. So in that example, the expectation of the Anti-Corruption Academy is to fill out a petition of rights under the David Walters method, and put yourself back as not put yourself back as to prove that you are a British subject because of the nature of what an Australian citizen is, right? An Australian citizen is terrifying, when you understand what it actually means, particularly with all of the debt and all of their control. So, long story, don't get tied up in that. Arguing over it. Again, what colour flag, all of that sort of stuff, right? The point is, the methodology is out there, and every group is fundamentally got the same enemy. There's 3,000 religions out there that are saying, my God is the one God, the one true God, right? And every one of them won't go to the other church for fear that their God might strike them down for worshipping the wrong God. But in principle, they're all fighting the devil, whatever they call him. They are all fighting the same enemy. So they need to understand that if we genuinely believe that the enemy is common, then the methodology of winning this war isn't as important as the people standing together to do so. There is no paperwork as an individual level that I've seen yet proven to help the masses, and God forbid if 6 million people in this country have to fill out full TASA paperwork, full private members, full UCC paperwork, if our system is that broken, that 6 million people on the land have to fill out international paperwork, then 6 million people should save ourselves the trouble and march together peacefully, shoulder to shoulder, and say, we've had enough. Right? Because if 6 million people have to leave the system, if 4 million people have to say they're disgruntled enough with the voting system to not take part by their stats, right, then we've got bigger problems in this country than filling out some paperwork to have international recognition. It's necessary to do it, right? It is necessary to have the paperwork, but the paperwork only represents the knowledge that you have gained. And so one lady said she had a not voting sent to her. And she replied instantly with, voting is fraudulent because you haven't done the writs correctly. Now, you've all heard that somewhere along the line. So what's the first thing that she did when she got that letter? She opened it and she replied, which means she contracted, which means now they get to choose whether or not they accept her reasoning. So I asked her, straight off the bat, playing devil's advocate, he who makes the claim provides the evidence. Please tell me under what section of legislation was breached for the writs. And she couldn't. And I said, do not get into the trap of repeating these people's words that 20, 30-year constitutional specialists, law specialists, common law specialists, they tell us all the stuff like I do. That's why I try and write it down on the whiteboard, right? So you can go back to it, you can sort of work it out, you can take soft steps towards it, you can get your wording sorted. But the best thing that you can do in these situations is be silent and let them make the claim. Right? Because if you make big claims and you don't yet know how to back them up with legislation and paperwork, you walk straight into their game of contracting without realising, and you will lose because this is their game, right? The more you know about what they're trying to do with contract, the more you can understand. The less you say, the less you have to defend yourself of contracting opportunities, right? And for someone like me, it's going to be very, very hard, right? But what I'm trying to say to everybody that goes to these groups, right, is be very, very mindful be very, very mindful of what we have to do to make sure we protect ourselves. We're not out there looking to punch on with these people. They have military might, they have guns on their hips, and they have coercibility on their side. But we're the people outnumber them 100,000 to 1, right? In the Parliament, we outnumber the system, 20, 30,000 to 1, and through peaceful remedy, knowledge into action of the lawful paperwork systems, we will prove that they aren't what they say they are. But there's a process to be done, and it starts with understanding who you are, understanding what jurisdiction you're in, understanding when they're trying to contract you, which is every time they open their mouth, understanding that silence from you for the time being in a situation is better than making claims that you can't back up. Now, there was a moment yesterday in the videos that I did, the lives, where someone said they were talking about income tax, and the man yelled out, "Income tax is voluntary, it says so in their act." And there was no rebuttal of that from the people in there. There was no point where the people put their hand up and said, actually, and that terrifies me because it doesn't say it's voluntary. It implies things, right? There's no point where it just says it's voluntary. In places, it implies that there's ways around it. But then I talk to you about things like you need to understand what it means when it says in that when the Taxation Act, where it says the individual and corporations, they are conjunctions, they are joinder, they are secret words that put you in as a business. Income tax is for businesses. Income is something that a business makes, right? Income is why we're saying it's not voluntary, because a company has to pay income tax. Now, I think we make wages. I think what it is that we make a wage, right? So it's the wording. It's not clear cut as a part in there that just you look it up and it says, oh, people in Australia have the choice to pay tax whether they want to or not. It's voluntary. That is not correct. And saying it out loud and telling other people who are new to the system that is what the correction is going to get you in trouble. It's going to get you saying things that you don't know how to defend. It's going to get you making claims that you can't point a stranger to, right? And so I beg of you, as we go on this journey, to make sure that if it's coming out of your mouth in a statement rather than a conversation, right? Between friends is fine, but when we make statements of great strength against the system, right? We need to make sure that we understand roughly where we're standing on, and what we're talking about and what we're doing. And so for me, understanding that that document is talking about a person, which is an individual. So in their definition of a person in the Acts Interpretation Act, they call us an individual, but it says body corporate, a corporate, as well as an individual. That is joinder. That is it. Corporate as well as an individual is steak as well as chips. Two separate things on one plate that come together when we incorporate them into one meal. Right? So they do a good job of incorporating you with words in their definitions without you realising what they've done. Then when you go to the Tax Act and it says an individual and corporation must pay income tax. And you see individual, well, by definition, as a person, you have become incorporated, which means that you are a business because you are receiving income to your capital letter name, which is the incorporated business. Get it? Right? So income tax is not voluntary for businesses. Wages tax is the problem that we're seeing, because we are not paying wage tax. Yeah, we are actually paying income tax because they've turned us into an incorporated business through that capitalized name. So just little things like that get us wandering off to court, yelling at people that income tax is voluntary. Well, it probably is if you learn how to decipher how to not be their business, right? That's the key, right? To learn how to not be in contracting with their business. And that's the truth of it, right? That if you can't genuinely, it's good to say all these things, right? It's good to have all these businesses, all these groups that are teaching us this information, right? But it's really hard to retain it if you try and learn karate in one day and then go out and throw fly kicks everywhere. You look impressive walking down the street or talking to your friends when they say, "What did you get up on the weekend?" And you're like, learnt karate. And they're like, "Oh, can you show us some moves?" "Oh yeah, income tax is voluntary." "Oh wow, I don't have to pay fines anymore because of section 120 brackets 2AA of the Tourism Act." "Oh my God, you're amazing. Your fly kicking ability is second to none." "Yeah, I know, I'm kind of a big deal. I've got a white belt, And the first time a black belt comes across you, purple belt, a brown belt, and looks at you throwing your little kicks around, putting on the show, they they block it and kick you straight up the side of the head, and you're sitting there with a rattled brain going, "What happened? I've done at least 1 or 2 lessons in karate, and my friends think that I'm great at karate, and realistically, I'm not as good as karate as I thought." And that is what we're doing, right? We're angry, we're scorned, we are the underdog in a lot of ways, but we have the power, and only as people do we have that power. Only as together do we have that power. Only as living men and women do we have that power, right? And it has to be side by side. Because individually, when you go to these groups, it's great. They teach you how to say no to rates, say no to tolls, say no to fines. But the day that the bill comes in the mail, you are at home alone. You are on your own. And that is the day that the copper comes knocking, the day that the police pull you over because of your UCC plates. You are not with a group of 50 people who have empowered you to believe that it's strong. The only thing you've got is your knowledge, your calm nature, right? And your ability to calm everyone down. Everybody's got the answers, right? Everybody in this movement now has got the answers. When you get pulled over by the cops, you say, "I do not contract. I'm a living man or a woman. I've got my UCC filings in the way. Govinda Tidbal told me that I don't have to worry about it anymore. I am travelling, for the purposes of it under, Section 92 of the Constitution. I'm allowed to travel for non-commercial purposes. I do not contract with you." Everybody's got their answer. Everybody will try something different. Everybody will go to a different course to learn about it. Everybody is testing their system and pushing back hard on them. Some people go in with a system and win, and the very next day, a different person goes into that system and loses because judges are different, law is different, a slip of a word is different, contract is different, a backstory is different. But we are winning because we are challenging and we are waking our people up, and that's what the Freedom Unites Cairns to Canberra parade is. It's not just about Jackie's covenant document. That covenant document, if it was lawful and as powerful as they believe it is, it doesn't need to be filled out 1,000 times. Because if the words are true and it's served on them as a single document, that's all that is necessary to highlight it. The fact that we're asking everybody to read it, understand it, agree with it, and send it off doesn't mean it's any more valid because more people agree with it. Law doesn't care whether the law doesn't care whether you agree with it or not. It's the process and system of going through, making the statements in there that left unrebutted by them, because we know that they are acting the way that they are acting, right? So that doesn't make any more validity. Now, the decree or the notice that we're taking with us, right, that counts for signatures. That counts for the amount of signatures. I still want 1 million people to sign the the covenant. I want 1 million people to sign the covenant, and I want 1 million people to sign the High Court notice to have Dr. Beverley's case heard. Why? Well, one, I'd love to see it won there and then, right? I'd love to see it won and set the precedence for all of the damn wall to fall over, so that we can get on with not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. But what will happen will be, it will prove for the final time, in my belief, that the Constitution offers zero power anymore to the people, because of the list of things that have gone on through fraudulent nature, which was shown to me yesterday in very great detail, how far back it started and the process that these guys have done and known of, that have systematically removed the monarch from above us, empowering us through their constitution to have a constitution, empowering us to write that constitution to control the government and enforce the separation of power between the three systems that we expect, one, to propose bills and sign off on new acts with the blessing of the monarch as the final signature before they come into power, through proclamation and through what do you call it when you gazetting, proper proclamation, gazetting, proper seals and signatures. None of that has been happening. So the correct documentation, the correct signatures, the correct people has not been happening at any time in history, which means that they knew what they were doing and doing it deliberately, hiding in plain sight, right? We will prove that that is not the case anymore and it can't happen, which will then prove that more people need to understand that we're going to have to go different methodologies from now on, rather than standing out the front of their courts and begging for them to do it. The Governor-General situation, there's plenty of people that have been standing there asking that Governor-General to do their job, and the information that I showed yesterday on those lives, the information that I learnt yesterday confirmed what I already knew, that they took the power away from the Governor-General a long time ago. The acts that they showed us yesterday, the legislation, the Constitution and the legislation yesterday said, for starters, just for starters, it's written in there in plain English, that the governors and Governor-Generals have to be Protestant faith, of naval position in background, and a male, which means that there is nothing lawful or legal about Sam Moyston being the Governor-General. She has no power. She sits in fraud, not in treason, because they have deliberately made themselves sovereign citizens, the thing that they call us, right? But regardless of all the fancy pants talk, regardless of all the arguments, back to the religion, 3,000 plus religions arguing over which religion is the right religion and which God is the right God, which God is the best God to fight the devil. Let's be all separated and argue over which God is the right God, and we spend most of our time saying that, when the fact is that Yaldabaoth, Beelzebub, the devil, Satan, Lucifer, by whatever name you would call the evil that is trying to control this world, it is the same enemy that we all carry. And while ever we continue to fund and fight rich man's wars against each other to say who's who in the zoo, it is we the people that make those wars possible. It is we the people that continue to front up to the front line while fat rich people tell us there's a problem between two countries. That's it. Russia? Well, they have nuclear weapons. Why aren't they kicking down the doors of Russia? Why is it Iran that we're worried about, that we're kicking down the doors? According to the UN and NATO, Russia's the bad guys that are causing all the problems with Ukraine. Yeah? Why Iran? But who's fighting it? People. Me and you. Every day. Your kids. Your grandkids. You. Your dads. Your uncles. Your mothers. Your wives. That's who's fighting it. Not Bill Gates. Not Klaus Schwab. not the Rockefellers, not Donald Trump, not Elon Musk. None of those people are over there going to be fighting. None of them. They just write their pen on paper and send good people to die. Yep. That's what happens. They convince you that someone else is your enemy, so much so that you will go to kill them, while we know that the enemy is common, because we are the slave race, we are under the control of the slave masters, and we are in the firing line for all of the work that we're doing. So will you stand now with us for the FUCCP rally? Will you stand with us and say, I will be shoulder to shoulder with every person who isn't the rich globalist agenda, who isn't a fraudulent politician, who isn't lying about the position that they hold, the oath that they swear, the power that they have granted to them through our constitution supposedly? Will you question people with the evidence that you know to be true, or will you stay silent? Will you wait until it's your door that they're knocking on because you shared my post? You made a public post about meeting us at Serena for this rally. Will you wait until the World Health Organization makes another pandemic scare, and this time they say it's meat and you can't eat meat because it's bad for climate change? Will you wait until the UN Disaster Risk Reduction Plan Sendai framework comes knocking on your door? People of North Queensland, you are in cyclone territory, which means that just about every single property from Mackay, anywhere within 10 to 15 kilometres of a coastline, will rezoned red. Climate change disaster red, which means that you will be uninsurable under the Sendai framework. Read it. It means that depending on the level of it, you will be uninsurable, so the nation doesn't have to continue to have skyrocketing insurance for everybody to pay for your risk of climate change related cyclones, flooding, severe storms, drought, fire, all of those things, right? Where is the townships of North Queensland in this rally? Dead to the world, asleep. They don't know what's coming. Join us and write no to the UN Disaster Risk Reduction Plan on your car. If you're not worried about the tax on tax, if you're not worried about the mRNA vaccinations, if you're not worried about the inflation, if you're not worried about the debt that keeps pushing its way, skyrocketing through to the citizens of the citizenship, then stay there, stay asleep. And when they come knocking on your door to say, unfortunately, you are in a red zone here within 10 kilometres of the coastline, through the managed retreat program, the government have signed off that we will be taking this property. Don't worry, we've got a property for you in a safe spot 500 kilometres from the coast with no trees around it, so that you can't get burnt, you can't get flooded, you can't get cycloned, you can't get anything, right? We'll be picking you up and we'll be taking you over to there. And when you're reaching out to the people like us and saying, what do I do now that I'm in court? It's too late. When your property is gone and you can't give it to your children or your grandchildren, it's too late. They are coming for your land. They already have control of your water. You know that because they're fluorinating it. They already own and lease they already own and control your land through in fee simple titles or fee simple titles, because if you don't pay your rates, they can take it off you. The council just laughed the other day that in my area that there's 64 people are getting forced to go to auction in the Flynn district, in the Central Highlands Regional Council district. 64 blocks will go to auction because they're of unpaid rates. Now, how many of those people are saying, I believe you are a fraudulent local government because you have no head of power through Section 51 of our Constitution, and I want the questions answered, like I did, right? Because I sent them a letter asking, as my fiducial and statutory duty as a director of a company under the Corporations Act, because of my ACN nature of the way that I hold my company, I have the obligation to my shareholders to make sure that I'm not partaking in the payment of things such as fraud or treason, right? So answer me the question, where do you get your power from? Because you don't have proclamation, you don't have gazetted, signed and approved acts, the Local Government Act, that come from our Section 51, head of power. So therefore, you are trading as an ABN, which means that through a line of sequences which is quite hard to find, it can be proven eventually that you are a corporation for the purposes of Section 109, which brings into play the High Court ruling of Queensland Rail. But it's very difficult to get it there. But we have to ask the question at first. If 100,000 people in the next 2 weeks after these rallies are done know that they can start pushing back on these people, keep the money in the bank, keep it in a trust, keep it wherever. Don't take your rates and go and spend it on coke and hookers, right? Because you think you found out a way to not pay your rates, right? Don't pay it off some loan where you can't get it back out because you're in trouble over there, right? You have to keep it somewhere where you can pay for this, so that if and when you finally get to the point where you can't fight anymore, you're too scared, there's too much risk, they're threatening to sell your property out from underneath you, you can pay, right? But if 100,000 people started asking the same questions and pushing back on these people, because I know there's 1,000 that have already done it, right? Then we would start to see some different things. If 100,000 people showed up out to the front of, Dr. Beverly Pierce's case and a twin sister Valerie, showed up out the front of that court and said, we are here to make sure that this High Court hears it fairly, and understands that the Constitution is we the people's power that we give for you people to even exist. Because otherwise, if you don't like it, fuck off, we'll go back to the Magna Carta, and we the people will be the jury that make the decisions, and you won't have a job. Because that's the power that we gave you through the Constitution to exist as the three levels of power: the legislative, the executive, and the judicial power that we gave you. And if you aren't separated, right, then, if you aren't separated in power, it means you all work for the same company, the same corporation of the Commonwealth of Australia Proprietary Limited, and it means that there is no separation, which means we cannot trust it, and the Constitution no longer has any power if it ever did, right? It is a show, it is an act in a court, which is where the jesters entertain for the kings and queens. Remember that song? Right? They tell us all the time. So please, come with me on this journey to raise awareness that the Constitution has one last shot of proving its validity into the high courts for separations of power for things like Dr. Beverly Pierce's case. She needs funding. Find the link on Jackie Dundee's page or on my page in the FUCCP page. Join the rally. Get as many people as you can. North Queensland, wake up. I need cars to have signage on it to say that you support the parade, that you want to sign the paperwork, and we go from Townsville to Proserpine, from Townsville to Bowen. Turn around and go home, I don't care. The people from Mackay and Rockhampton and Proserpine, wake up, right? They're coming for your land. They're coming for you through taxes. You will own nothing and you will be happy. Is a flyer that I've got there, and in the middle of it, it says in small writing, the part that they couldn't fit on their banner, right? In the middle of it, it says, because we have infiltrated your cabinets and governments for the last 50 years, and we are now in total control as we roll legislation out to slowly but surely allow the UN to come in and operate on foreign soil, because we're not considering you the people of the land and soil jurisdiction anymore. You are a citizen on the ship, and you are subservient to the government of the day. Right? That is what they're there to do. That is what they're doing. They are coming for you. They have raised your taxes. They have raised your interest. They have raised the cost of living. They are pumping immigration into this country of non-democratic Christian faith-based ideology, which means that it destabilises that will to stand together against the common enemy, because it's more and more, we spend more and more time arguing with each other over which religion, and the enemy is common. Right? Send this message out to everybody and say, know your rights or you have none. Stand in your power or you might as well go back to sleep. Delete Facebook and take the app off. Stop watching Rumble videos if you're not willing to stand up, because you are next in line. You're going to be the next person that they knock on the door and say you've done something wrong, and you're going to have to fight it in court or pay the fine or contract with them illegally. We have to work this shit out. And we have to come together, because otherwise you're going to be the person that's sitting in the jail cell today with all of his paperwork in place, lawfully standing his ground, and they know that, and they're breaching it to send a message. We need to send the message back. We have to send the message back peacefully that we know that they are the ones breaking the rules, that they are the sovereign citizens. They are the sovereign citizens because they know that, right? Not us. We need to know that when we make the claim, we have to be able to back it up. So it's going to take a little bit of homework. It's going to have to say one less Netflix video. It's going to have to write down in a notepad. You're going to have to watch people like me that put it up on the page. You have to go to the places like the Warrior at Law page, the Living Council page, the Terror Australia State National page. It's all linked in the FUCC page. The Corruption Whistleblower page and paper. The Light Australia page and paper, right? You'll have to go to the Anti-Corruption Academy website and learn about the David Walters, petition of rights stuff. You'll have to make the decision for yourself, but you'll have to use that body of evidence to be able to stand there and make the claims against the system that will come for you. Because no matter where you go, you will be surveilled soon. That is already a breach of your human rights. That is already an intrusion into your life, that everywhere you'll go, you're getting watched. Because they're not watching for the person that's going to steal your bag. They're watching for you to break one of their petty rules that is overstepping the mark of the power that we gave them through that Constitution. They do not exist unless we say they do. They are public servants to serve the public. The problem is, us as the public, we don't know our power. We don't know how to stand in it, right? And we have to learn that. And then we have to stand together when they test our systems. When we are shoulder to shoulder, armed, linked, like I've done in plenty of times in the past where the corrupt system has tried to take jobs away from us, tried to take conditions away from our workplaces, we stand arm in arm, linked, solid, peacefully. Peacefully. We're not running around like morons in other countries in false flag events where they're throwing petrol bombs and rocks like morons, like spoilt children who have no control over their emotions. We stand peacefully together. They're the ones that shoot rubber bullets at Australian citizens. They're the ones that use fucking LRAD against Australian citizens. They're the ones that drop chemicals from the skies. They're the ones that treasonously, do what they do, giving our gas away for free to other countries. They're the ones that have sold the manufacturing of this country out till we have 86% foreign-owned minerals and that. Did you do that? Did we the people do that? Did we vote for that in a referendum? No, we didn't. They're the ones that are doing this. And you, the innocent, are submitting to it and allowing it through silence, through acquiescence, through consent, by not doing something about it. You have the knowledge. For 5 years, you've sat there and listened to the knowledge. You've all watched a million documentaries from Rothschilds to Rockefellers to Zeitgeist to all of the historic, the money makers, all of the things. 1984, the reality of it coming true. We've all been there. We've all done it. Now, take that knowledge, write it down, get the documentation, learn your rights, and stand with action together, or go back to sleep. Get rid of this app. Turn it all off. Stop watching me. Stop sharing me. Stop waiting for someone to do the work for you, because the only power we have left, now that document, if it fails, this rally, if it fails and those documents fail, the only power people have left is our numbers. And that's it. The only power we will have left is our numbers. We are 27 million people. And if we don't protect our shoreline now, we are done. And I can stand here in this beautiful, beautiful environment, looking around like that, thinking that I'm free, and I am not. Because I can't move in this world without following a law. I can't make an income without paying 3/4 of it to them in some form of tax. I can't stand in my rights without being grabbed and armbarred by a policy officer and thrown in front of their courts and saying that I'm the problem, that I'm doing something wrong, right? This is a war of consent. It is a war of energy. It is a war of intent. And if we don't do something now, then you can kiss your family's property goodbye, your house goodbye, your rights goodbye, your country goodbye, right? Because you are right now smack bang in the middle of the apex of this fight, whether we tip it over or whether we keep fighting, right? We have to stand together. I'm telling you now, if we don't get this shit sorted, You can sit in your home and watch your Rumble video as they come to take you away and put you locked up in one of their 15-minute cities. And if you don't believe that's possible, read the Sendai framework, Sendai framework under the UNDRR. Australia signed up to it in Japan last year. Google managed retreat and understand what's going on. Learn what an ESG is, an environmental social governance credit for the businesses that supply you on your farms. Because even as a farmer who thinks that you're doing the organic job of, producing something, and then you realise that no one will deliver fuel for you, that nobody will pick up your milk, that you can't buy fertiliser because you make their big business look bad by not being environmentally social governance scored under the climate credit system. So they can't deal with you because you are giving them too much of a bad score. So you need to pick your score up even though it's not mandatory against you. Heard that story before? Yep, the part where it's not mandatory against you. QGov, MyGov, federal. Not mandatory for the digital ID. QGov, not mandatory for the digital ID, but the companies that run their paperwork through QGov say you can't have your medical examination for any of the mining or any of the high-risk tasks in Queensland unless you've got the digital ID. Take them on. Oh, we didn't say that it's mandatory. That's the companies that do it. It must be a HR thing. You got to lose your job. You got to challenge them in court. The barrister says you possibly would win under Section 109 under the Queensland Rail High Court 2015. Yeah, you might. But do you want to be without jail do you want to be without work as they make you appeal and go through the processes and hear all the hearings while you're waiting to find out whether you win, and then expect the treasonous mob or the fraudulent mob to do that for you? Probably not. So you'll sign up because you'll be like, well, I can't be without income. Will you wait for another jab to come down the pipeline? This time it'll be for the children. Will you? I don't know. Like, how much more can you take? Will it wait till it's our children, your children, my children that are getting, molested by high-profile people when they steal the children? The corruption whistleblower video that I did the other day saying that they've got a target of 60,000 kids. Then they're meeting that target because the homeless and the Indigenous and the poverty-stricken, the people that are in the low economic end of the society that have been crushed there with the boot, right? That is the problem, right? That is the people that they take from. And it's too easy for them. Please, stand up now, get mobilised, come together, or you have nothing. Whatever you've got today, enjoy it, because you won't have it soon enough. This is not any longer a conspiracy. It's provable in their legislation. Like I just said, don't like it? Go to the Sendai framework, go to the UNDRR, go to the Managed Retreat Program. Go and have a look at the area plans. Oh, this hair's driving me insane. Go and have a look at the area plans, right? Go and have a look every time that you contract with them. Go and have a look who your name is. Go and have a look at the capital version of your name and understand why income tax is not voluntary for a company because you have been incorporated. Go and have a look at their legislation when they give you a camera fine under the Traffic Operations Road Use Management Act, Section 120 brackets 2AA, and they give you no evidence that they've done what they're supposed to do to prove that it's working, right? They don't bother because nobody asks. So they just smack a fine on you and you say, I'm so cranky that they gave me a fine. I'm going to whinge about it. And you pay it. You consent. You contract without question, without them giving you any evidence, because you wouldn't want to have to learn how to write a letter of objection back to them to say, you are not fining me until you prove to me that he who makes the claim provides the evidence, and you've provided no evidence other than a picture of a person driving down the road that your machine works, that it's calibrated, that it's been set up properly by someone who's trained, that it's been maintained to a level that the operational equipment manufacturer has suggested or recommended, which is usually a 1-year calibration. You're not following simple things like that, right? And we're just paying out the arse. And every time you take a step in this country, when they start having those cameras, you're going to know about it. You watched me with Cyril Burke the other day tell you how much infiltration into your body EMF is causing everywhere, and they know about it. They know about it in the school, they know about it in the workplace. Your children and yourself, is getting absolutely smashed by the EMF that they know about, and their standards are dog shit, and they know that it's hurting us, and they're doing nothing about it. And once again, we've got to pay for a device that helps it. We've got to pay for paint that stops it. We've got to pay for machines to shield our products, that the people who build it know that it's causing the harm, and they don't have to do anything about it. This is legit. It is real. It is real as it's going to get, and if you don't do it together, you're going to end up on your own, like the people that are sitting in jail today because they stood their ground against these people lawfully. I will put it in there what it is to do to ring, what you have to say to be valid, to make sure we don't just get cranky and waffle on, right? But the point is that we need to show unity right now as people, not about groups, not about leader. Does Jody like Penny and Penny doesn't like Jody, or all of the things that I carry on about? I'm just as guilty of being the opinionated arsehole as everybody else, but it's the people that need to come together, right? It's got nothing to do with the self-appointed leaders that talk shit on here all day like I do, right? It is my opinion and my offering of opinion to you that you take whatever path you want to push back, as long as you've got the information to know how to do it, right? Because it won't be 10 social media people standing up side by side on a stage representing you that wins this. It'll be the millions and millions of people that say enough and walk together like they did in Canberra, and then went back to sleep. And the mandates were dropped, and when they were shilled and grifted because they hadn't done the emotional work to know what to discern. Because they went there collectively saying, we don't want the government to tell us what to do anymore, but complete strangers who stood up and put themselves up on stage can. Right? That is not what this is about. This is the journey of you. You've had 5 years head start. And the people that have just woken up, hopefully, the people that are just waking up to this, the people that we're going to ignite, the people we're going to give paperwork to, the people we're going to hand out things to on this journey, right? We want them to have to skip the 4 years of rabbit holes that we had to go down to get to the point where we understand that we're in trouble, right? We don't want to try and load them up with in 1302, the Pope Boniface made the unum sanctum that's written on the tortured, that's written on the flayed skin of a tortured child, and it's under the Vatican. Cool, great, good information, but got nothing to do with the average person, 85 percentile. If you try and talk to people about Constitution, even in a level that would be like, oh, under Section 109, they're like, lawyer bullshit, turn it off. I want to watch Netflix. All right, we have to know our language. We have to understand what we're doing. Please help now, right? I've been doing this flat out for 9 days. We've got 88 cars registered. We've got a lot more verbal interest. Len Harris is hopefully coming from the north. Bilbo Battalion's bus, which will be a big eyes on, will be coming from the south. We still need funding. We still need funding, right? We still need funding from the Canberra overnight, right? So we still need some money for Canberra overnight. We still need some money for Singleton overnight. We still need some money for fuel vouchers, right? And then that will all be squared away. The South Australians will give me a bank account to see if we can throw some extra money towards their fuel. The Melburnians are going to ask for some money to go over for their fuel coming up. So Melbourne's coming forward, Victoria's coming up on the 4th, South Australia's coming over a couple of days earlier. The numbers are rising rapidly for the southern leg. I need the Townsville people, Cairns, Townsville, Proserpine, Bowen, Ayr, Charters Towers people to get this information and get off your ass and stand together now and push back and make that next step of connection, community, and standing together. Otherwise, it'll be you ringing us to work out what we're going to do when they do what they did like they did to Rod. You'll be ringing Rod going, hey, Rod, they're about to take my property off me. You'll be ringing people like me trying to get onto Heidi Ward so that she can help you represent yourself in court because you're already 10 layers deep in shit because you haven't been following the pre-action protocol paperwork through notice of objections and knowing what you're talking about. You just stop paying the rates and put your finger up to them. And then you wonder why we're standing in court about to lose your property. It will be you. Or your other option is get off social media, delete all the apps, maybe leave it on just so you can buy stuff on Marketplace. Stop worrying about what you think you know because you're not willing to do anything about the knowledge that you've got anyway. I mean, that's the cold hard reality, and then just hope that they never come for you. That's our option. That's the way I see it. Let's go. FUCCP starts on Friday. See you there Thursday night at the Blue Water in Townsville. every person that can come with a car, every friend that you reach out to say, join me, come for a drive. Townsville to Proserpine, Townsville to Ayr, Townsville to Bowen, Townsville to wherever, right? Kick that rally off so strong that when we leave that city, 50, 60 cars decorated with our flags and our knowledge and our paperwork together, right? And that will stir everything to the south of us with a rumble in their hearts to say, I want to be part of this. I want to be able to look my children and grandchildren in the eye and not speak Chinese to them, right? I want to be able to look my grandchildren or my great-grandchildren and know when they say, what did you do at this time of war for the country? Say, I took part. I did my bit. I pushed back. I said no. That's really what we're doing here. We're protecting our bloody children. Because I might finish, in a selfish world, I might be able to finish this life out might just be able to finish this life out without having to really suffer, right? Without having to really be crushed like people already are today. There's people that woke up this morning in tents, wrapped up with hand-me-down blankets, freezing cold, while immigrants wander into this country. And it's not against the immigrants, it's about the country that would open the door to people to come and live in apartments that they sponsor through our tax money, while veterans, while elderly live freezing on the streets and in nursing homes with the power turned down to the point where they're still bone-chillingly cold, and we allow families to come from other countries. That is not our responsibility. We sent our military to the Middle East. That is not our responsibility, right? That will be your son, your brother, your uncle, your mother, your sister, your auntie that will be going over to fight rich people's wars because of religious bullshit, and you are taking a part by believing that there's anything other than, if Trump, Musk, Gates, if all of those leaders want to go over there and fight for the weapons of mass destruction, hand over your weapons of mass destruction. Tell me the tally of people that you've killed in the last 100 years protecting people from weapons of mass destruction. Tell me who you work for. Tell me who you answer to. Who run the world? Jews. Who run the world? Jews. Who run this mother? Right? That's where we're at, because they're answering to whatever they do. And like I said, anti-Semitism is got nothing to do in this country with us, right? It is the high-level people that pretend to be the bloodlines of the Jews that are making them be persecuted for something that has got nothing to do with them. As usual, we target our attacks on the true Jews, right? We target our attack on the people that they try and make us look like we want to be racist against, right? And we end up targeting the wrong people. We are winning. We will win. We have to, but it will not come easy, and it will not come from home, and it will not come with a simple share, and it will not come with liking and subscribing, and it will not come with Govinda Tidbold's single piece of paperwork that wins it for us. It comes with a full, energetic change from where we are as consenting, controlled people to living men and women understanding and knowing their rights and standing together and saying enough is enough. We will not go one step forward. We will not go towards that darkness. We have to be the light, and we have to do it now. Because if it's not now, when? And if it's not you, who? Tell me. I need to know so that I can join with them. Is it in a month? Is it in 2 months? Will you not be busy in 3 months? Will you have more money at Christmas? Will you wait until it's warm so that you can wear your good going out clothes? Like, what is it? When is it? Tell me. You want to wait for a vote? Wait 3 more years, see if we can vote them out again? Maybe this time, maybe the 126th time that we vote that we'll get One Nation up to run the country. Maybe that's the one. Maybe it's the lucky 126 number. Maybe. I don't know. Let's wait 3 years. Find out. Up to you. Have a good day.